The noble principles expressed in the Monroe Doctrine did not apply to Indian nations living in lands claimed by or adjoining the United States. In the Northwest, troops crushed the resistance of the Fox and Sac Indians to white settlement at the Bad Axe Massacre in 1832. In the South, cotton planters lusted for the millions of acres of fertile lands occupied by the 60,000 members of what were known as the civilized tribes. The Cherokee were the largest and most Americanized of all Indian nations. They had their own written language and newspaper, the Cherokee Phoenix, started by Sequoyah in 1826. And they were successful farmers, some even using black slaves to grow tobacco and cotton. When the state of Georgia tried to pressure the Cherokee into selling their land, they declared themselves a republic and wrote their own constitution.
The Georgians are essentially, white Georgians, are harassing the Cherokees, trying to get into Cherokee land. And the Cherokees, who are by that time very assimilated, they're farming on plots that they own in a standard Western way. Lots of them are wearing European clothing. Lots of them are Christianized. They've gone about as far as they can go in terms of assimilating into American culture. And when the Georgians attack them and try to take their land, they do what good American citizens do, and they sue. And the case goes to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court rules in favor of the Cherokees, which hands Andrew Jackson just what he wants, a chance to overrule the federal government on behalf of the state of Georgia. What's really going on there is that the Indians are getting caught in Andrew Jackson's struggle over states' rights.
Even though the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Cherokees, President Jackson ignored the decision. In 1830, he urged the U.S. Congress to pass the Indian Removal Act, which authorized the government to buy out the 5 civilized tribes and resettle them west of the Mississippi River in an area called Indian Territory. Removal took place throughout the 1830s. In 1836, the American Army marched 15,000 Creeks, men, women, and children, many of them in chains and handcuffs, to their new homes in present-day Oklahoma. Between 1835 and 1838, thousands of Cherokees marched through snow and sleet with little clothing and at times no food. 4,000 died of disease, starvation, and exposure. These marches would forever be remembered as the Trail of Tears. Not all the civilized tribes gave in. In 1835, the federal government launched a long and costly war against the Seminoles in Florida, who had intermarried and lived with escaped slaves.
There was a young chief by the name of Osceola who decided that the government was being unjust, that the land belonged to his people, and he felt that he would not give up his land without a fight. According to the legend, Osceola walked forward in hushed silence. He pulled his hunting knife out, about 7 inches long, flashed it before the crowd, and shouted, "This is the only way I will sign." He then stabbed his knife through the treaty very violently, and this was the beginning of the Seminole War.
Defeat of the Seminoles marked the end of resistance east of the Mississippi. By 1844, removal had been completed in all but a few backcountry pockets of the South.